Hello everyone, so today in this video we are going to cover the topic of iterables and iterators in Python. For many of the people who just have started coding in Python found this topic very much confusing. So what I will do, I'll try to explain both these topics in the easiest possible way, plus I will also try to explain iterables and iterators in different manners. Like I'll try to explain iterables and iterators in multiple ways. So let us start the discussion first with iterables. What are these iterables in Python? So first way of explaining iterables could be, iterables are those objects for which there is a possibility to access the elements of the objects one by one. What I mean to say is that suppose if I have this object here with me, and if there is a possibility to fetch all these elements, whatever the elements is here in this object, if there is a possibility to fetch all these elements one by one, then this object is going to be my iterable object. Let me execute this. So now there is a concept of for loop which is going to give me all the elements of this object L. For I in L, I will simply print it, print I. Yes, this is giving me. So my first explanation is clear. I'll repeat this again. If we can fetch all the elements of an object one by one, then I would say that my object is what? My object is an iterable object. My second explanation could be, if the object has this iter method, let me write it here, this iter method. If my object has this iter method, then I would say that my object is an iterable object. Now the next question comes, let me first comment this out. Now my next question is how to know that whether the object has this function or not. Now the best way to get this is using this dir function. Inside this dir function, all you need to do is you just need to pass the object. If this gives you this iter method, this is also known as dunder method, magic method, or special methods in Python. If this has this method, then this object is my iterable object. So let us check where is that method. Here it is. So the second way is also making it very much clear that this L object is my iterable object. Now third way to explain this iterable concept is, if the object can be looped over, like I used this loop concept to loop over this object. If the object can be looped over, then that object is my what? My iterable. Let us clear the confusion here now. If I am making this a string, right? If it is possible for me to fetch all these elements for I in S, if it is going to give me string one by one, then I will call this an iterable object. Yes, it is giving me, and if I pass this S here, oops, it should be small. If I pass this, and if this has this iter method, yes, it has. So this is also an iterable object. Now let us go and check this. I will say n is equal to 10, and if I try to use for I in n, if I try to use this for loop for this object, I'll print I. Let us see what it is giving me. It is giving me int object is not iterable. I hope the concept is clear now. Let us use dir as well. Let us use dir as well on this n. And I am 110% sure that this is not going to have any dunder iter method. See, it doesn't have. So I want you all to take a pause here, revisit the complete video, and then come back for iterators. One very common saying about iterators and iterables in Python is all iterators are iterables, but not all iterables are iterators. This might be very much confusing for all those who are getting this for the first time, but if you watch this video till the end, then definitely you are going to understand the concept of iterables and iterators and this confusing statement in an amazing way. So let me add a cell here. But before explaining you what iterators are, I want to tell you how can we convert any iterable into an iterator. So we have checked that this object, this L object which we have created in the starting of the video is what is my iterable object. So let us convert this. So we will check first way. So first way is to use this function, this dunder function, this way. We are going to use this dunder function only. In both the ways, we are going to use this function only, but we are going to use this function in different ways. So we have to put the dot here, and then let us store this in a iter underscore L1. I will call it L1, right? And if I execute this and check the type of this iter underscore L underscore L1, this is going to give me what? This is going to give me the type of object of iter L1, which is list iterator. The second way is, again I am going to use this iter function only, but I am going to use this in a different way. So I am directly going to use this function and I am going to pass this object here. And if I check the type of this iter underscore L2, this is going to give me what? This is going to give me list object, list iterator. So we have seen the conversion, right? So I'll explain you the how to know that my object is an iterator object or not. So technically, if I have to define any iterator object, I would say if my object has next method, this method. Where is the method? This method. Let me write it here. I think I haven't written. Okay. If my object contains this method, then that object is going to be my iterator object. So again, we have seen how can we check the available methods for any object. So I will pass this underscore L2. Okay, right? So let us check and let us see that whether this object has this method or not. Definitely it is going to have. So look at here. So this has this method. So I have explained you the technical way to explain iterators. Now let us understand the easy way to understand this concept of iterators. Iterators are objects, yes. Iterators are those objects which are used to iterate over iterables. I'll explain it again. So iterators are those objects which are used to fetch the elements of my iterables using next method, right? So what I will do, what I have said, that using this next method, if the object is going to give me the element of one by one, the object is going to give me the element of the iterable, then this is my what? This is my iterator object. So I will pass here what? Iter underscore L1. See, this is going, and if I execute this again, right? If I execute this again and again, so this is what it is doing. It is giving me the elements of my iterable objects one by one. So this is validating this statement that iterators are those objects which is used to fetch the elements of iterables. Now another way to explain this iterator, what could be the other way to explain any iterator object? Iterator objects can also be explained using the term state. So any iterator object must remember its state. What do I mean to say here is that right now this iterator has returned this value 3, this element 3. Now it must return the next value, the exact adjacent value to this element. So let me first print here. So my list is this. So if this is truly an iterator object, this iter underscore L1, it must return this. It must remember its states, where it is currently and what is going to be the next element to print. So what I will do, I will use this again and I'll try to print it. See, this is going to give me, and this is going to give me all the elements like this way only. This is going to give me, let me print here again, last element of my iterable object. As soon as this next function reaches the last element of any iterable object, this throws an error, this stop iteration error. What does this error means? That this next method has reached to the last element of the list, and now there is no elements to print, there is no element to fetch. So this is going to give me this error. And now if you want to fetch the first element again after coming to the end point, if you want to fetch the starting element, the first element of the list, an iterable object, then you have to do this again. Let me just copy and paste this, that would be fine, right? So I have to create an iterator again, iterator object again, right? So here it is, right? I hope in the very starting I have mentioned this one statement. Let me show you again this statement. All iterators are iterables, but not all iterables are iterators. What do I mean to say this? Now if I want to fetch the elements, so the definition for iterables, what I have given, that if you can loop over the elements of any object, then that object is going to be my iterable. So we have seen that we can loop over my list object. So let us check that whether we can loop over this iterator object or not. Print I, right? Oops, for I do like these small mistakes. Okay, so this is clear, right? The statement is clear for this list object that iterator is also an iterable, right? Now let us check this. If now we call the definition of iterator, if the object is an iterator object, then it must use next function to fetch the element, the next element of iterable object. So let me do this here. So let us check that whether this L is my iterator or not. What I will do, I will use this function. Just like we have used this function for the iterator object, let us use this function for iterable object now. And I will pass it here. This is going to print list object is not an iterator. So now I think this is clear that all iterators are iterable because we have executed this. But not all iterables are iterators because we have executed this. Pause it here again, revise the concept and come back again. Now you have to be very much attentive for what I'm going to say right now. Whenever we execute this for loop, it calls iter method on the object, right? I'll repeat it again. Whenever we execute this for loop calls iter method on the object. And if this call made is successful, this iter method is now going to return me an iterator object. And every iterator object comes along with a function next, right? I have told you that every iterator comes with a next function. Now this next function is going to fetch the elements of the iterable objects one by one, right? And as soon as it reaches the last element and fetched that last element, it is going to stop. It is going to stop, and for loop is going to catch the exception, which is stop iteration exception on its own, right? I hope this concept is clear. Pause the video here and revise this 20 seconds which I just have explained to understand the concept of for loop with iterator and iterables. So now I hope that this video has made your concept about iterables and iterators very much clear. If not, then I would request you all to watch this video again, because in this video I have tried to explain iterables and iterators in all the possible manners.